Yeah.
Hi, Roger. How's it going?
All right.
Good. One of the main questions is, why do you remain in academia when you had so many relationships with industry?
Well, that's a good place to be, academia, when you're nearing the end of your career, so that you can pass everything you learned in industry on to the next generation of students, and that's what I've done. I had my career in the oil industry and waited until I had a good opportunity to go back to the university. I went to Colorado School of Mines after working for ARCO in city service, and because I wanted to kind of give something back, things that I had learned over the years. And that's worked out quite well. I've been able to do that. I've had more than 60 graduate students since I went to Oklahoma, and they're all doing really well here in the industry now.
How do you decide if a topic deserves to be investigated?
Well, to answer your question, I'm a very applied geologist, and I always have been. Rather than doing basic science, I do applied science because I want to do things that are beneficial. And so one of the ways in which I decide what I want to work on is this going to be beneficial to petroleum industry, a large number of people, other academics, or what have you. I don't just do science for the sake of doing science. The other reasons is one, to try to pass that on to students, that to do things that are of value. Whenever I give a outside course, a short course to companies or other groups, I'll always start out with my my history, which is both the oil industry and academia, and I go through my history and then say the reason I'm doing this is to tell you that I've had both an academic and an industry background, so that I hope what I present to you is going to be useful. I realize that a number of academics just do things for the sake of doing them, their own curiosity. Okay, so the third reason, and I do hate to admit this, but you have to follow the money. And in academia, nobody gives you money. You have to go out and get it. And so that in some ways directs your research studies.
Is that also why the way in which you decide who to collaborate with, based on the budgets?
Well, where you can get your funding, that's correct. Yeah, I get all of my funding from the oil industry. I don't do National Science Foundation. I don't go to the DOE because your chances are relatively low. You spend a lot of time writing proposals and maybe have a 5 or 10% chance of having them accepted. And the petroleum industry, in my case, has always been pretty generous about providing funds, and I think the reason for that is that in return they get good students. When the students graduate, they go to work for these companies.
What do you think about the quality of the science behind? Is it going to be the same quality if you are funded by NSF or if you are funded by private property?
Well, to answer your question, I like to do good science, no matter if it were through a purely basic research issue or an applied research issue. The thing that I do find is that doing industry research, there's more of a time limit. One answers a little more quickly, so sometimes you don't get to follow through or take side tracks as you might be more easily able to do with, say, NSF or DOE.